Well, greetings, happy landlords. Good afternoon, everyone. First of all, thank you for the opportunity to present you this product of my creation. And first, I want to put in context how this came up to life. Uh, I've been doing my bookkeeping for more than 10 years on my business. And in additional, I'm a personal finance freak, so I also do a monthly budget in my life. And anyway, I have the discipline to make the time and run my numbers. So in past September, with the start of a new school year, I got very interested on AI. As a father of a 6 years old then, homeschooling him, was very optimistic on develop his own type of classroom curriculum and explore the use of artificial intelligence to help my child being homeschooled, right? And with that, as the tax season approached and I became more comfortable with using AI, particularly Claude products, I became a Claude Pro member around September, the time frame. I wanted to improve my bookkeeping system for more time efficiency. And what I did at the time, I created a project that I disclosed my expectations with the agent and provided my last 3 years of bookkeeping. And with that and few tweaks here and there is how the profit track was born. So that's a very straightforward summary on this tool I'm about to present you has come up together. So it's been built by an operator for operators. And it's very simple. This is Excel. This is something you will own if you decide that it fits your needs. It's not a software, it's nothing complex, it's very customizable. And I invite you to follow me here in the next 10 minutes or so to get a feel for it. The first thing you will encounter with the profit track and is a quick start guide, very simple, easy setups to make it customizable, and a very simple walkthrough of what each file, each of these sheet consists about. It also includes a hidden sheet that has all the master drop down menus, and that's how you make the changes to make it as customizable as possible. It presents the ability to be bilingual or be in multiple jurisdictions, as is in my actual business case. This is a demo. This is non-real scenario, but is pretty much a reflection of what I'm capable to do through my own business. And as a landlord and property manager, I self-manage. The instructions, there's pretty much the summary of the instructions. There's two methods of doing it. A weekly method, which is the one recommended, about 14 to 12 minutes per week, keep up with your bookkeeping, or a once a month where you collect all your statements or your invoices and do entries for a time frame of anywhere 45 to 60 minutes if you're organized, right? If you have everything compiled throughout the month, some people prefer that method. The other thing with the weekly method that I will emphasize is the importance of having labels, what we call labels on Google, or rules for those who use Microsoft Outlook, and similar type of archiving folders, which is a very simple setup, but this will help you expedite and screening your uh, data, which eventually will be entered, right, manually here in the Excel. You will encounter in a dashboard summary. This is very straightforward, a snapshot on how your rental portfolio is doing, right? As far as total income, expenses, and that has to do with the reports that at the end of the year we will submit to our CPAs. But because frankly, that's what we want to alleviate when it comes tax season. Everything is there, layout. Throughout the year, we've been gathering, right, this information, perhaps downloading invoices and archiving them, whichever system we have of preference, which is what I consider my expertise, organizing, coming up with those methods. I could elaborate about that more in a separate conversation, but here is where you get all those numbers straightforward and upfront. We can see overall the business for Mr. Marcus. Our character's name is Marcus Delgado, Mr. Marcus Delgado, who owns five rentals, right? Three in Florida, two in Puerto Rico. He has a net losses of about $900. And how all of this is broken down, where I want to show you the hidden tab, first of all, which is I'm gonna unhide, as you see, and it's the drop down list. And the drop down list contains all the info pertaining to our rentals. As you can see, it's named by property and category expenses, which you can tailor, but this is according to most CPA's requirements. And then per payment method, personally, I think it's important to track different payments to understand where our bookkeeping, right, is taking place. If we need to refer back to those statements and etc. And a small entry here for is a capital improvement expense. It's something I need to discuss further with my CPA at the end of the year. By default, it's no, either N or leave it blank. If we capture a yes, something will be categorized different for further discussion during that CPA consult once a year as minimum, right? And the data validation entry, very straightforward, how to validate this data across all sheets coming out of the hidden drop-down list. I'm gonna hide it again. And now we will proceed to show you what I call the heart of the profit track. The heart of the profit track is what I call the MTL, Master Transaction Log. And before I show you all these numbers and all this scramble here, any questions so far? Any inputs perhaps? Okay, well, the MTL, as mentioned, is where we gather all the data. And this information comes for the most part from emails that I receive from those payers or from the tenants when I collect rent, or any other type of transaction that is relevant and somehow get recorded on my Gmails and go to one of those labels. That's pretty much it. And those are the 6, 7 columns we manually enter. And from there, the system populates based on the location a report for each location of your rentals. Of course, income, which can be up to three categories. The other income, some people have like vending machines or washer, dryer, etc. Other type of miscellaneous that would be relevant to account. Um, there is an entire section here of expenses, which we will select from the drop-down menu that I will demonstrate. And those expenses, everything is auto-calculated. That's the beauty of Excel, as we know. And in relation to the location of those properties, what I want to mention here is the importance of those additional business expenses we might inquire. For example, internet services or a portion of your cell phones utilization, transportation, tolls, parking, trips, etc. Here is a section for that. Okay, and with that, if there's no further questions, I will proceed to demonstrate here some entries. And you may wonder, where do we get the emails? Well, that's the beauty of AI. Yes. So, like I was mentioning, that's where the beauty of AI comes to play, because I was able to recreate pretty much some emails to resemble the ones we receive from our businesses, right? And simulate those alerts are the type of data source that our ProfitTrack needs for bookkeeping purposes. Right? So what I would like to demonstrate you now is a clean MTL. See, this one has all these total numbers. As you can see, the MTL itself, the master transaction log, is completely filled out. But I'm gonna bring a clean one now, which I call our demo. And our demo, as you can see, all values are in zero, right? And these values in zero will change as soon as we bring an entry to the master transaction log. I will minimize this a little bit just to see the receipts, and after a few entries, I will move them on this side. This one was a payment issue on January, and of course, I can enter that manually. The location of this property, Estancias del Sol, is in Puerto Rico. And we can see the date, the amount, all of that beforehand. Some of us has good memory, some of us don't that much. So it depends, right? And our tenant's name is Yolanda Fuentes. That needs to be manually entered. That's not part of the dropdown, but the description you can make also rent payment as well. It needs to be manual, but the category is part of the dropdown. And we will find here that it's a rental income for the amount of $950. And the payment method utilized for Puerto Rico most of the time is ATH Móvil. Has nothing to do with capital improvements, and I will make mention, for example, this one has to do with apartment one specifically, and the tenant makes reference to that also on her receipt, as we can see here in the note, right? She makes a comment entry of that. We move to the next receipt of Maria Santos for 875. That's also a January payment. As you can see, I could also type if I were to choose to. And forgot the tenant's name. Maria Santos, very well. This is also pertaining to rental income. So I can do either or, type or write down. I'm sorry, type or select from the drop-down menu, like I'm demonstrating now. Has nothing to do with capital's improvement, and she is from apartment 2. The next entry from these Gmails, what I'm doing, I'm gonna move this to the side so you can see now the entire more in full. This one is a partial payment from Robert Oakford. He's from Florida. He issued this payment on January 15, and he's from Palmetto, which we can see there. I can be taking questions as I do this. I just want to really demonstrate the simplicity and how straightforward. He issued a payment with Cash App. I want to show you, right? There's the notification coming from Cash App. And I can find that on the drop-down menu, of course. And I would say it is partial, right? Because it seems he was issuing those payments by some tenants paid at the beginning of the month, others at the end of the month. It varies. This one here is a payment on January 3rd, 2026. Also from Puerto Rico. This is Casa Verde. And her name is Carmen. So this couple is to be married. They got recently divorced. So one lives in Puerto Rico, the other one on the States. Both are my tenants. So interesting situation there. And because it's from Puerto Rico, she pays with attached mobile. Has nothing to do with any capitals improvement. She's from apartment one in this small multi-family. And let me show you now. We have made 3 entries for Puerto Rico, one from Florida, and I want you to see that Florida has that $75 entry here. And Puerto Rico should have 3 larger entries because there's rent collections, right, of 2 units. And there are so far no expenses. Right? And this is how simple and straightforward the MTL can be. As we read our emails with that information, then you may wonder what happens when I issue a payment. Well, for example, with mortgages, I can tell that we split it according to the breakdowns our CPAs wants to see, correct? So with that, I want to show you, but if you see any statements from mortgages, you will understand that is a breakdown between principal, interest, and escrow. And that's how we like to do it here with the MTL. But you get the flow of it, right? So I'm gonna bring back now the other MTL and show you here, very, very important, how when I get a mortgage payment from that statement, I like to separate what is paid on principal, how much is paid here on line 14. I'm on line 14, I'm sorry. Let's go back to line 13. How I pay for that property, the principal only, how I pay the mortgage only, interest payment, and the escrow separately. And all these numbers at the end, when we go here to Florida, for example, I can see by property how Sunset, I only pay on interest, how much I only pay on principal and escrow. You see that column? Column C here, lines 19 through 21. You can see how those are broken down very conveniently. Similar if there would be any type of legal professional, right? And I can always make on the MTL, come back to the MTL if I want to see how much really I spend only on legal. Which is that simple. It's that simple, people. And really, uh, the simplicity is what allows us to have a large breath when it comes tax season. We don't need to be taking or catching our breath. We already have it because throughout 48 or 50 weeks throughout the year, we were diligent with our bookkeeping and did not fare overwhelmed when it came January or February. Every entry is here, one by one. It's designed to take up to 300 entries. And imagine that. Um, how many entries per week is that? About 15, sometimes maybe 7, sometimes 3. Um, so with that, pretty much has all the functions and benefits of the MTL with this demonstration. You will like, I can continue making here entries from the simple that it is, right? The tenant in this case sent me a balance due on his notes. And this payment, you can see it here. Right? This is what we have read from the email. With that, I conclude my presentation for the profit track and keeping your bookkeeping in order. Thanks.